going to pivot because we're talking about guys that talking about role definition. We're talking about coaches that get you to play hard. We're talking about guys that will get a program to buy in. We're talking about guys that know how to get their players to understand what their role is, which is basically what Shaka Smart has done with Marquette this season. And I don't think we can overstate how impressive the last, it's probably about a month for what Marquette is, but for the last 3 games, they beat Seton Hall at home last Saturday. They went into Villanova, into the Finn, and they beat the Wildcats there. That's the first time that someone has won in that building in like 18 years or something. I don't know. I'm sure you have the exact stat, but in Fanta's lifetime, that's the first time anybody's ever won at Finneran Pavilion. And then on Sunday, they went and they beat up on Xavier. That's 3 straight wins over top 25 teams. They are the only team in the Big East to beat Providence. They've won 6 straight games. The last time that they lost was a double overtime home game that was a result of Alex O'Connell hitting a 3 at the end of the first overtime to send it to a second overtime. So look, 6 in a row. Shaka's got those kids playing hard. They are rolling. They play at Seton Hall on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Whew. And then how about this? So we just talked about they just played 3 straight top 25 games. Here are the next 4 games for Marquette, for the record. At Seton Hall on Wednesday, at Providence next Saturday, home for Villanova February 2nd, at UConn February 8th. Like, hey, look,
Big East.
The Big East is a meat grinder, fellas.
It's a
meat grinder. That is a ridiculous 7-game run.
Yeah, the Big East is a meat grinder. The Big East should have 5 top 25 teams on this Monday. Talking about Villanova, talking about UConn, talking about Xavier, Providence, and Marquette. Marquette should appear in the poll. The Golden Eagles are second in America with 6 quadrant 1 wins. There is no question about them being an NCAA tournament team. They have done so much over the last 3 weeks, and it is a pure example that in this long marathon, if you do find a way to put a sprint together and you don't have a massive stumble on the hurdles, that you're going to find a way to the big dance floor. They have created their way to printing a ticket, and they're doing it because they defend their tails off. This is a team that really gets up in you, and that is the Shaka Smart way. But I want to look at a couple of players for this group. You have a Justin Lewis, who's 6'7", a sophomore who is scoring the basketball at an elite level. He's playing the game like a power forward who has his sights set on perhaps getting a look from the association someday. This is a guy who has really taken his offensive game the next level. His feel for the game has risen to the next level. And I was in on Mark
Jay Crowder.
I wouldn't go that far right now, but look, there's a lot of toughness in this kid. And I saw Marquette practice in October, and Shaka Smart was riding his tail. I mean, on him from the start. And I think that it took Justin some time, to understand that he's riding you because he needs you, man. If you guys are ever going to perform this year, you're going to have to lift this team. He's done it. Daryl Morcell, you want the ultimate testament to coaching? Daryl Morcell under Mark Turgeon, 0 20-point performances. 0. Under Shaka Smart, I think he sits at 6, if not 7.
And had 19 against Xavier.
Right. He's become a totally different offensive player. They have unlayered a side of Daryl Morcell's game that Daryl Morcell said, I didn't even realize it in College Park. So you have guys that have evolved. You have freshmen who have played a key role on this team. Cam Jones is a real tough guard. Little guy that makes things happen for this team. Stevie Mitchell can play defense, and that's why he's finding himself on the floor. And Tyler Kolek, the George Mason transfer, Atlantic 10 Freshman of the Year, has added a lot to this team. They are a dangerous team. They have scheduled hard. Their schedule was very difficult from the outset, and they beat Illinois when Illinois didn't have Kofi Cockburn. And a lot of people said, I'm not sure still, Illinois didn't have Kofi Cockburn. And people are still uncertain about Illinois. But then they racked up 3 more power conference wins after that. And in the Big East, they have delivered. And I think it's a first-year coaching staff that the rest of these Big East coaches have not faced. They don't have 2 or 3 scouts a year on them, and I think that that's benefiting as well. But in terms of marriage between coach and program, Shaka Smart is perfect in his home state of Wisconsin at Marquette. And Shaka Smart has a fire lit under him because people said he couldn't coach simply because things didn't end up working out at a program that overall has been pedestrian, Texas.
Yeah, look, you know what? Here's my take on Shaka in Texas, and I've said this before. So much of success when it comes to coaching is finding the right fit for the way you want to play, what you do best, and the way that you're going to have to recruit to a certain program. It's all about fit when it comes to unless you're like Bill Self and the elite of the elite of the elite. It's all about the right fit. And at Texas, you're going after 5-star kids that are going to be jumping ship for the NBA early. It's just what it is. You're going to have to recycle 19 and 20-year-olds over and over and over again. And that's what Shaka did. But for him to have success winning games the way that he did at VCU, what he does best is building a culture, building that kind of family atmosphere, building that brotherhood, getting these guys to buy in and have that bond where it means more than just basketball to them. And it's very difficult to do that over the course of 8 months or 18 months, depending on how long some of these kids were on campus. And it's also the way that he wants to play. When you have 19-year-olds doing it, that's one thing. When you have 23-year-olds playing that way that have been in college for 4.5 years, it really changes things. And at Marquette, he can build that culture. He can develop that. He can get old. He can stay old. He can get guys that are bought in. There's a built-in fan base like that. They're going to, what is it called? Is it the Bradley Center, the Five Surf Forum?
Five Surf Forum, terrific building.
The house that Giannis built. Let's just call it the house that Giannis built. Whatever it is. Like, they're going to pack that. That's an NBA arena. They're going to pack it. They're going to put 15,000 people in there. That place gets loud when Marquette is good. And I'll tell you what, last thing on this. Marquette fans are nuts. They are passionate. They are crazy. They are smart. They care. And Shaka is going to get that fan base riled up and energetic. That building is going to be sold out. Like, I'm really excited about the future of Marquette. And I'm saying that as somebody that's probably going to end up getting like a fan of a team is going to end up getting their ass kicked more often than not if Shaka gets that thing rolling. Like, it's going to be fun to watch that program grow. And last thing, and Tio, I know that you have a relationship with Shaka, and I know him pretty well, Vince. I know that you're getting to know him now that he's in the Big East. Like, it's very hard not to root for that dude.
You love Shaka.
Like he's just a good guy. So I'm happy that he's kind of found a place where it seems like, I don't want to say like he's happier, because I mean, look, when you're living in Austin, Texas, making the money that you make as the head coach at the University of Texas, it's very difficult to not have a good life. But I'm glad that he's finding a little bit of success. Like, these dudes are also competitive. So that's my Shaka rant. Go ahead, CEO. Fans, someone else take it.
People forget he won the Big 12 last year.
Yeah, exactly, T.O. Exactly. Like, it's more about Texas than it is Shaka. Yeah. The reason for that breakup is more about Texas than it is Shaka. Tell me Texas basketball clearly has some bigger picture issues as a program as a whole. Mm-hmm. I mean, they just do.
Here's a problem with Texas. People think they can throw $100 million at something and just fix it.
Can't do it.
And you could throw $100 million and then not show up. Kids,
you're right.
The facilities are everywhere, guys. Like, facilities are everywhere, and that's a big part of it. The thing I like about the way Marquette plays this year, just to kind of get back to what we're talking about, because obviously I love Shaka. I think he's terrific. He texted me the other day about a kind of a project that may or may not happen this year, but we to have guys play that hard, you have to go deep in your bench. We're kind of a little bit talking about Auburn. They're not as talented as Auburn, but they, 4 guys off the bench got at least 15 minutes. And if you're going to guard like that, you have to be pretty deep. They had 9 players play heavy minutes. The only one who in that top 9 who didn't is Omax Prosper, who just has struggled to get going offensively a little bit. That's a Clemson transfer. I know Omax. I think he's talented. It's just going to take him a second. But they have so many guys. And Daryl Morcell, he's turned into like – what was – my question is I'm sitting here watching Daryl Morcell. What was Turgeon doing? Like, that kid's good, and he's obviously a smart kid. But like, he was the defensive player of the year last year in the Big Ten. But I mean, when you had
some of the pieces they had offensively last year. Like they just didn't let that Marcel kind of get going. Like maybe you should have. Maybe that would have helped you a little bit.
He was using the wrong pieces. I mean, like this dude is really good, and they just have. I love Justin Lewis. I know. I don't know what it is about Marquette and 6'7", 6'8" guys that are really bulky, but they tend to make it happen. Like these big physical guards, 3-4s. I mean, you look back, they get some guys like that. And,
Jimmy Butler,
obviously
Jay Crowder, Wesley Matthews, Lazar Hayward. They just, it's those dudes. Everyone.
Yeah. What they are is they're undersized fours that work their butt off and turn into 2s and 3s. Like that's what happens.
100%.
But you know what? Just one closing thought there. You're bringing up guys that were in the Buzz Williams time, Tom Crean.
Yep.
Who got inducted in the Marquette Hall of Fame. Here's the thing. I do want to bring this up. Marquette's fan base has really been unfortunate the last decade. Like Marcus Howard goes down as one of the greatest Marquette players ever. And he told and the best scorer. And he's the top scorer in Big East history now. And he comes down with 0 NCAA tournament wins. Marquette fans have been showing up. They've been showing up. I love my man, Kevin Sweeney. He was at the Marquette Xavier game on Sunday, and he said Marquette fans have really embraced the Shaka Smart era. Marquette fans have embraced basketball for a long, long time. They were showing up for Steve Wojciechowski, but they ended up getting their hearts broken quite a bit. They showed up to those games, and they ended up getting their hearts broken. So Marquette
I love when
fans
you drop bombs on Wozo, for the record, Fanta. I love when you're just like,
well, it didn't work out. And I think we all would agree it just didn't work out.
No,
it didn't work out. And it is what it is. And it was a period of time where they were top 12 at certain points under Woj. Like they were rolling with Marcus Howard, Sam Hauser, Joey Hauser. When the Hauser brothers transferred, it changed everything. But one final thought on Marquette. I don't think people understand, Rob and T.O., that Marquette spends at a top 15 budget level in college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking major dollars being fed near the Potawatomi Casino out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and in that area. There's some major money, folks, out in that area, and there's some major money at Marquette. You're not able to build the house that Giannis built unless you've got area to redevelop and get the place going. That's a beautiful building. They can recruit really well. They have a good brand awareness over there, and basketball's the show in town this time of year.
That's it.
It's freezing over there. It is freezing. And now the Packers are done. So out in Milwaukee, the focus is hoops, and that's why Marquette benefits. But they spend too much money to have not won an NCAA tournament game. And Terrence said it, money can't buy you everything. But now you got the right leader in place, and it's working. I love what I'm seeing from this team.